Bomani, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to me about the angry black girl and her monster, which I just finished watching, and I gotta tell you, it kind of blew me away, man. I wasn't sure what to expect going in, and I wasn't expecting this, and I think it's amazing. It's kind of like a modernized Frankenstein story, Frankenstein's monster story, which I was not expecting going in. Talk to me about where the idea for this story came from.
I mean, it came from the literature itself. I read the book and was just completely blown away by it. It gave me a lot of anxiety. so, and a lot of the themes of it like resonated with me. So I wanted to try to find a way to tell that. I just knew there was a story in there that I wanted to bring to the big screen, and mix that with I have two older sisters who shepherded me in my life and like mentored me,
Hmm.
and were my first contact with intelligence. And so all I did was, once those two things intertwined, the story started to speak to me.
It's funny because you going in, you don't really expect this story to come from a male. Honestly, we just don't see a lot of men who write black women very often. You don't get a lot of stories about black women, period, especially
Sure.
brilliant black women. I think we're starting to see that kind of the corner kind of turn on that though, which I think is a good thing. Would you agree with that, or would you think that there's still a long ways to go to kind of show films from a black women's perspective?
I mean, I hope I'll answer it like this. I hope we're turning a corner, and I still think there's a lot more room to go. You know what I mean? It's just like I think there's a lot more black voices out there that need to be heard. To kind of give us a lot of different perspectives and nuances to our community. Because as you know, we're not a monolith, and so like because of that, it's just like the other people have had the opportunity to have a wide scope of their voices being heard, so you're able to really get the nuts and bolts and the nuances of these things. And I feel like our community hasn't had that chance yet, to really get in there and give the nuanced voices from through the black lens. So
Yeah, you talked about your how Frankenstein resonated with you, and which is interesting because Mary Shelley. It feels like we say the title Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but it seems like she's kind of like the forgotten aspect of it, like in
yeah.
a lot of ways. Like we don't really think about her as much, and we talk about like the great horror writers of all time. We don't really think about Mary Shelley like that, do we?
Yeah, no, like there was something that happened. I don't know what newspaper did it, but like they were listing these horror people and left Mary Shelley's name off of it. And I was just like, that's insane. Like she's the god, like the goddess of horror, man. She is one of the founders, like, and not only just like horror when it comes from literature, she also was genre blending in a time where I don't know how often that was happening.
Mhm.
So like she did sci-fi horror, and when
Yeah.
you about like the movie Alien, it's just like that is sci-fi horror. The first Terminator, that is sci-fi horror. It's like these, and like those things wouldn't exist without Mary Shelley, right?
Mhm.
It's like so yeah, I'd put some respect on her name.
I love the way this story takes the Frankenstein concept and brings in ideas that are really part of the black experience now, especially when it comes to like gun violence and police violence and dealing with those themes. Talk to me about wanting to merge these things and how difficult it was in combining all these elements into a horror package, because this is also very much a scary horror movie too. That was, I think, the thing that surprised me most was how scary of a horror movie it actually was too.
Oh, I think I'm glad it was. I'm glad this movie was connecting on these different levels for you, man. I appreciate that. It means a lot because you don't really know. It's just like you're kind of just you're in it, but and you're playing basketball and you take the shot, analogy wise, but you don't know if it's going to go in. You just you're trying, So, uh, but no, I mean, Look, man, like I think uh we live in a space where we are constantly dealing with, more than one thing at once, right? It's like we're dealing with a bunch of different things at once. So I was just I just aspired to capture a piece of that. I can't say this movie captures, the entirety of Black experience or anything like that. I can just say that I was trying to capture the humanity of, this character, and and take you on a journey with her.
I love the casting of Vicaria, and I think Leia does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you saw in her that made her the perfect choice for the role.
Oh boy. So I mean, just from the first audition, she just smacked it out of the park. Like she just, like if you saw it, like, you'd be like, wow, right? It's just like, it was a game changer. And the other thing I loved about her was, just her, not only her endurance, it was just all the everything in her toolkit and all her choices, and
Mm.
and all her the weapons she can use. Like she's just such a phenomenal actress, or act. I don't know if it's offensive to say it, to say that, but just her work as an artist is just remarkable. Just keeps switching back and forth between vulnerable and tough, and intelligent, and I mean, and wrapping all those things up in one. And it's just like she had a lot of tough lines to spit out and try to seem human,
Mhm.
make it sound human. And she was able to do all that. So she's the greatest magic trick of the movie.
At the same time, I don't know if the movie would have been the same without Chad L. Coleman. He's one of my favorite actors. I love him. I think he brings so much heart and soul to every role that he takes. Doesn't seem to matter what it is. Talk to me about bringing him on and what it was like when you were able to get him for this role. Like I said, I think he's like the heart and soul of this movie. His role in this as her father. Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, man. Like Chad was, he was the final piece to the casting,
Mm,
weirdly enough, and I can't, it's like, I don't know what to say because I've been a fan of his, since The Wire,
yeah.
and he's just, yeah, he's so good. He just tears it up, and he knows his craft, and he was phenomenal to work with, and he's been such an incredible champion for this movie. Him and all the other actors, like everyone's been championing this movie so much. But yeah, Chad was just been he's so cool.
He has a lot of great scenes in the movie, but I feel like there's this one scene, and it felt I know I felt it. It almost felt like a little bit of wish fulfillment too. It's when the teacher kind of takes Vicaria out, and then he comes in to meet with the teacher, and he
Yeah,
stands up for her. And I think we've all had those moments where the teacher has kind of called us out for something, maybe gone a little too far overboard, and we don't always get that kind of defense.
sure.
And to me, that felt like a little bit of wish fulfillment, but also just like Chad Cohen was like perfect in his measured response to that role. I thought that was perfect.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was excited about that scene. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, that I enjoyed working on that scene with him. He was very. We were all very into it. When we were filming that, it was hilarious because there was, all the black people on set were like watching it, being like, "Yeah, yeah." It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I think that's it. I think we all feel a certain kind of way about a scene like that. Like we've all had that kind of moment. We're
yeah,
like, man, I wish I had my father come in here and say something like that,
yeah.
to the teacher.
Maybe they'll start after this movie. They'll look out, teachers, right?
Man, so I was talking about how much this movie struck me as more of a horror than I expected it to be. This movie is gruesome at times too, man. What was your approach to doing like the horror scenes, like the death scenes? There's a lot of them in this movie, and it's like I said, it's very stark and in your face. And not every horror movie does that. And not every filmmaker wants to do that. It
Yeah.
leaves some to the imagination. Sometimes they don't. I'm curious to know your approach when deciding on how you wanted to tackle the violence in the film.
Well, really, it's like it's a one. Again, it's a horror movie, so that's part of the that's part of the vehicle you're working in. But also, just from an emotional standpoint, I wanted the violence to be unflinching.
Mhm.
I didn't want to shy away from that. And this wasn't the movie that I felt like was something trying to be. I don't want to use the word classy, but just like, like let your imagination kind of fill in the blanks there. Like that, that wasn't something with some of these parts, some of these gores that I wanted for this movie.
Mhm.
It's because I think it's disgusting how, people are treated and stuff like that. So that needs to be on the forefront. Seeing the aftermath of these things is important. So, yeah, I mean, like mentioned that mixed with some of my favorite filmmakers, and their approach to gore, like David Cronenberg, like
Yeah.
it's like that kind of stuff really like speaks to me as a filmmaker.
Well, it fits in with Shutter, that's for sure. So I always like to ask filmmakers on the way out, what is it that you hope audiences take away from the film when they come to see it? What do you hope they get out of it?
Man, I hope that audiences are able to get a good ride. I mean, for me, some of my favorite films, I always walk in expecting one thing and then I leave with more than what I bargained for. And that's always a great feeling. And so for me, that was one thing that I would aspire with this movie is that you walk in hoping you're getting something, whatever preconceived notion that you have about the movie, and then you leave with more. I hope you're able to leave with like a whole palette of experiences from this movie, whether that be disgust, and like thought provoking, hope or fears. Like I hope this movie is able to give you all of those things.
Well, Bomani, this has been fantastic. I appreciate you taking time with me to talk about the Angry Black Girl and her monster. I wish you the best of luck in the film as well. And I'd love to talk to you whenever you got something else coming up. Love to talk to you about that too, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. In theaters June 9th.
June 9th. All right. Thanks a
Be
lot,
on the
man.
lookout for my next one.
Good luck to you, man. Thank you.
Man, no problem.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.